Hello and welcome to Evolve Pipedrive Podcast. We talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and the Pipedrive marketplace. My name is Bruce Bignell. I own and run Evolve. We're a technology consultancy based in the UK, working globally, helping people get more out of Pipedrive and their wider tech stack through implementation, consultancy, training, and aftercare. If you're building out your tech stack, we've put together the Evolve Sales OS. It's a small list of curated apps that help you sell more, along with a free masterclass with over 4 hours worth of content from the experts themselves at Pipedrive, Surf, JustCall, and Outplay. We'll have the links in the description below. Today, though, I have the pleasure of being joined by Karan Sharma, the co-founder at hubsell. hubsell brings together proprietary data, outreach orchestration, and Gen AI to enable one-to-one prospecting at scale across email, LinkedIn, and phone. I'm really really excited to be talking to Karan today for a couple of reasons. One, because he's passionate about all things effective outbound. He's not about spray and pray outbound, not content for content's sake socials, but useful and effective content and socials. He's been sharing his lessons about multi-channel prospecting for years. I found posts from LinkedIn, Quora, X from 4, 6, 8 years ago.
Wow.
He was born in Punjab, raised in Amsterdam, and matured in Berlin. He's intentionally bootstrapping his businesses, hubsell and OpGenius, which is soon to be rebranded as Go-to-Market Wizards, so GTM Wizards. And I'm excited to hear what experience and principles we can learn from him today. So without further ado, Karan, thank you very much. And please can you introduce yourself and hubsell to our audience?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much. Very excited to be here. Hi to everybody, and thanks for tuning in. Uh, quick few words on hubsell. hubsell is first and foremost a data provider, a database builder, and it does have outreach and AI, let's say, components in there. But we believe that the list is the pipe. Yeah. So if you have a good list, if you have the good, um, let's say, ICP that is sourced properly with good data, that's already half the battle won. Yeah. So we focus heavily on the data element, and we provide fresh data, not a snapshot in time data, but rather living data that heals itself as it decays, so to speak. Yeah. And yeah, so that's in a nutshell what hubsell is.
I love you mentioned this. We were speaking not long ago about the self-healing data,
Yeah.
and you just said there about the living data. How important is that in a salesperson's life? I mean, for the longest time, decades ago, I don't trust the data. I don't trust this, and
Yes.
so then you would possibly, there's a lot of very big businesses out there that pride
Yeah.
themselves on being the B2B database for
Yes.
X, for the Americas, for Europe, or whatever it might be. But to your point, they are static. They're snapshots. It's not a living database.
Yes. So, speaking about big databases, they are snapshots, but let's say they are snapshots in time. They're taken as snapshots over time. So it's not just one snapshot taken 8 years ago, but
Mm.
I think they update their data maybe every 90 days, but not
Okay.
the entire database. So if you have 600 million contacts, it makes no financial sense to update the entirety of it every 3 months. So what they're doing is they're sort of doing pockets of it. So it's sort of random. If you're a customer of some of these big brands, um, that you get 100% of your data as updated last week. It's impossible. Okay. I think it's very important because things change. Things change rapidly these days. People are super active. There's higher turnover now than 5 years ago. And there was a lot of turnover in the last 5 years. You call it the great resignation, right? People have been moving places due to COVID, from working from home. That changed a lot of things for people. A lot of people got fired or furloughed, and that also changes things. And so when you are dealing with data, you need to see it as something that is living, and instead of seeing it as an asset that just retains its value, you need to see it as an asset that converts to a liability because it needs to be used by salespeople that are well paid. And time is money And it's even more so, more directly related. This quote hits harder when it's salespeople, because salespeople are coin operated. You pay them money, they do the work. And I don't feel bad saying that, because I'm a salesperson, you're a salesperson, and so you pay a salesperson 50 to 100K depending on where you are in the world, and they shouldn't be spending their time on checking, does this person still works there, right? Should I email them? What are they talking about? This should just be given to the salesperson, and they should receive this information passively, and the software or the product that they're using should do this work actively, right? And so, as I mentioned before we started the call, I tend to ramble on. So if I made the point I'm going over,
I, I
just stop me.
I love it. I
Yeah,
actually wanted to touch upon there. You said where they shouldn't be spending their time. Now
yeah.
I saw one of your posts recently where you're like, Clay's great, but that isn't what a salesperson should be spending the bloody time on. That is a and there's the sales engineers or the CRO, like if you've got salespeople building out their workflows, what the fuck, it's
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it was first of all a joke. I don't have any problem with Clay. Yeah, so
yes,
don't want to receive a cease and desist letter from anybody. That seems to be happening a lot on LinkedIn these days. I don't know if people are lying about that or not. I don't need this stress,
yeah.
right? I already have stomach acid occasionally. So, um, the idea there was, because I just see so much of Clay noise on LinkedIn. It's the new gong in a way,
Mm,
where everybody's talking about it. And I've used it. I have an account with them. It has value. I'm not saying it's completely devoid of value. It has value, but I think that value gets so much more. It gets so like elaborated and just exploded that it's like the second coming of Christ, or it's better than sliced bread. It's a tool.
mm,
And in the end, you need to use a tool as a means to your end. And if the tool is preventing you from doing your job, and just I've spoken to a few salespeople, and they showed me their fancy, fancy flows in Clay, and I'm like, okay, this is what you got at the end after like 9 tools included and 20 steps. Okay, that's what you got. Okay, it's not
mm.
making a sale happen. And so I think people should be calling, people should be DMing people on LinkedIn, people should be emailing people. And there's a lot of things a salesperson does, and I always say salespeople are chronically out of time, chronically. They simply have too much on their plate, and their job is not structured by anybody. It's like
Mm.
too many moving parts. And so if you are going to give more and more tools to salespeople, they're going to lose a lot of their time just switching context.
Mm.
And there's a point here to make about cognitive load. We can only take so much. And if you have like 5 6 tools that you're using daily, or have to consider, okay, this tool does this tool does that. Maybe I'm not a fully native digital. Yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm older than and a lot of the people that are super into all these tech tools and so forth. But I think that I would rather focus on the think work of what I need to do, and come up with the right things to say, than have all these tools coming up with little pieces to give me this end result.
But it's all just avoidance of pain, because
Absolutely.
the uncomfortable thing is you face rejection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Salespeople face rejection. A good
Yes.
I used I heard 10 plus years ago, a good salesperson gets told no
Yeah.
7 times out of 10. A bad person gets told no 9 times out of 10. It's like
Yeah.
you're facing more rejection
Oh
than
yes.
acceptance, and it's probably a lot wider or more than that. But hiding behind the technology, so finding the better data or getting the right intent signal. To your
Yeah.
point, the principle here is speak to them. Let's don't whether it's it doesn't, the medium doesn't matter, right? But the message does. Make sure you're speaking to, whether it's an email, whether it's
Yeah.
more phone calls, whether it's in person.
Yeah.
Make sure you're speaking to your prospects.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you can't understand them.
Yeah, and then there is the other side, which is like the recipient, which is your contact, your prospect. They've been sort of vaccinated against AI. everybody knows what AI looks like and sounds like.
Mm.
And the the big claim to fame for a lot of these tools, I don't want to just keep on bullying Clay here, but a lot of these tools is that they'll do all the work for you. We've been guilty of that too. We pitched that idea,
Yep.
but I hold these opinions and then I can change them because I see what's happening in the industry. And we tell our users, let the AI do the heavy lifting, the grunt work, but don't outsource your thinking to it. Make sure that you look at it, see what it writes, and adapt as needed. So these fully automated AI tools, I'm not very bullish on them, right?
Yeah, I also think it will get to a stage where it's the models will be so good that it will just be everyone will have it, so that
Sure.
it's like a what will differentiate you is not how personalized your is how quickly you can respond to their
Also, yeah,
to their to that so to someone's ask. That would
yeah,
probably be the bigger indicator versus how personal your message is. If
yeah,
once everyone's got these agents working for them within their business. But if we just come back around to the hubset itself, like what's the because your bootstrap, right? It's about 8 years or so you've been
yeah,
running.
yeah,
So tell me what's the story there? What markets do you cover? Obviously, data is important,
yeah.
and like what
Sure,
um, databases or yeah. Tell me a little bit
sure.
more about that.
Okay. So yeah, so Hubsell came to be when I was working at my previous job. I was asked to sort of set up this outreach motion. Back then, Outreach IO was new.
Mm,
It was 8 years ago, and I worked with a team of freelancers to get the data. Data was key for me even back then. We needed to make sure it was high quality. We used another vendor that was doing this full thing, getting the data and emailing. They were based out of Poland. Not super happy with them, so I thought, okay, we'll do it because they were adding a lot of info ad and role-based stuff,
yeah.
and the result they were zero. And so I thought, okay, you know what? I don't want to give up on this. Let me try it where I focus on each step qualitatively. And so we first solved the data thing. I trained the team and I go and do this. I had to get into finding emails. I had to get into finding how to guess the email, how to guess the email at catch all of that. I had to do it manually to find out. And then I trained this team in India to do it. And then we used Outreach.io to connect those two, so data and then Outreach.io,
Mm,
and that generated business. And so that was my cue to, okay, yeah, this works. And I always wanted to have a business. I read Paul Graham's article about skills that a non-tech CEO needs during my college, university years. And I actually sort of plotted my jobs to go and acquire these different skills.
love it.
Cold calling, marketing, and all that different stuff. Even did some lobbying at one point. But and so I wanted to have a company, and so I post my idea on a British website called Work in Startups. And Work in Startups is a job posting website, and there there's a particular section there that says looking for CTOs or or
Mm,
co-founders, looking for co-founders, something like that. And I posted the entire idea there, and a bunch of people applied, and I interviewed several CTOs. And the one that I have as my CTO now, he was the only one that didn't talk about money or have you
yeah.
raised equity or what we. He said, why not?
Hmm.
And he said, give me about a week or maybe two. I don't know what he said exactly in terms of time. I'll show you something. I'll do something and I'll show you something. But great. And so then a week later or 2 weeks later, he came up with this very bare bone app. We were using a theme. He used a theme, just created very bare bone app. And I was like, you're it. You know, I hadn't met him physically ever in
Yeah.
person before. He lives in Milan to this day, and I live in Berlin, and we very good friends. I visited him. He's visited us many times. He knows my sons. I know it's like a family, you know.
You love it. Yeah.
And so we just thought, you know what, let's just do it. We don't want the let's say the hassle of dealing with VCs. We did try to raise, and we would always get the question of you have this manual aspect
Mm.
in your software, in your data provision, because we focused more on quality, and they didn't want to fund a company that had manual
Mm.
steps in there. So eventually we thought, you know what, we're making money.
Yeah.
Do we need to have a VC that? And also I have peers, I have friends here in Berlin that are VC funded, and I can see that they're stressed. You know,
Yeah. There's a lot of pressures that come with it. It's
exactly. And then I also decided to become a father. We decided, you know, you can't just decide as a single person. I want to
yeah.
be a father. You know, so
Yeah. I don't know if that works actually. I don't
no, I don't think so. A woman can decide alone if she wants to be
yes.
a
Yeah.
mother. So we don't have that luxury. So we decided, me and my wife, to have a child, and we had our first son, and that's when COVID hit. So
Mm.
he was 6 months old when COVID hit. So combining running a company during COVID with a young child at home that cannot go to daycare, and then COVID went on for like 3 years, and my second son was born 2 years later, and so it was a roller coaster sort of, and you know that's not a very good, let's say, situation to be in when you want to raise. So we just forgot about it. We didn't
Yeah.
want to deal with that, and as hubsell grew from a data provider as a data provider, our customers said, hey, you know, you got so much data that doesn't fit really in outreach tools that we're using. Can you build outreach functionality?
Mm.
And so we thought, okay, we can build it. And we thought it would be a small project, but actually it became the bigger project. And so we continuously build, you know, email outreach, LinkedIn outreach, then phone dialing, and then, you know, customers say, okay, we want to personalize more. Can we have if this then that? We did all
Mm.
of that. So we went from list to a flowchart view for our outreach functionality, and then COVID, and then the war hit us. And but before that, what happened was our product became too complex, so we actually needed to add a consulting aspect. And so our resource intensiveness onto the service delivery or the value delivery became higher. So we
Mm.
needed to do a lot to deliver, and so we needed to keep the price high. Then COVID ended and war started. The economy started going downwards. Customers became very skittish with money, and so we couldn't afford to have the consulting aspect there. And we needed to change everything, because if we didn't
Mm.
have the consulting aspect in there, then the product was
That
too
was the
difficult to
margin on
use.
top of that was
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah. But without the consulting, the product was still too complex to use because it has many different things. We built it like, you know, sort of like patching things together.
Hmm.
We are now in the process of redoing the product so that it is just like, you know, self onboardable, sort of a
Yeah.
SaaS product. And so the last 1.5 year, we've focused on that.
Yeah.
And it's slow as a team which is bootstrapped. We took a big hit in revenue as well,
Yeah.
because when you cancel out all of the consulting revenue, and some of the bigger deals that we were having, they didn't renew. Uh, we did move some of that to other like entity like Opgenius and so forth,
Hmm.
but Hubsel itself did suffer. But we could take it. You know, we have the cash reserves. We have we didn't die from it.
Yeah.
And I think that has something to do with also VCs not being involved. We were not under pressure to kill
What
ourselves.
as a co-founder with your co-founder, obviously he's in Milan, you're in Berlin.
Yeah,
Do you think you landed because you've been through the wars together, right? So,
yeah. Oh
um,
yes,
so how lucky do you feel? Like, what does he bring? What do they bring to your team? Because obviously,
yeah,
you to me, we've spoke, um, and you seem highly optimistic. Like we can
thank
do
you.
this, we can do like what's your how do you
Yeah,
two work together? And is it a yin
yeah,
and yang? Does like
yeah, yeah.
what's
It
the
has to be, I think. So my co-founder was Fabrizio, and he lives in Milan. He is very relaxed. He's a very relaxed guy. He is the tech. CTO of the company. Yeah, so he is sort of the tether. Yeah, he keeps me grounded because, and first time founder. Yeah, impulsive by nature, right? Sort of chaotic, sort of here and there occasionally as well emotionally. He is also older than I am, so he
Mm.
is more, let's say, he's wiser. He's more like a Gandalf of our team. And I remember whenever we have a problem, we call on him. It's like, Fab, we need help. All right. He copes with the frustrations of hubsell. Um, and the play is really good because I can come up with a lot of ideas and he can then sort of accept or shoot them down, which is good. And at the beginning that was really hard for me
Mm.
because I felt like ideas were the main thing, right?
Mm.
They're not. Ideas are worthless.
Mm.
It's the execution that is the main thing. And so I think together, and it takes some time, together we are able to find this balance. And so I think he adds a lot of the value in making sure that we are not spreading ourselves too thin, that the product is good despite my constant interruptions and so forth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hubso wouldn't be without him at all.
Yeah, I just wanted to lean on that because it's so important about the founders that you work with, and obviously it's not just all plain sailing.
Yeah.
We hear all these stories about. I do remember that working startups
Yes.
when I was in London about
Yeah.
15 years ago. I do remember that.
I think it still
Um,
exists.
yeah, I didn't know it still exists. Um, but yeah, as a few friends that were finding jobs when Deliveroo was kind of getting quite
Oh
big
yeah.
and things like that, they did that there. But just to kind of bring it back to SDRs and I guess business owners as well. What are the sales principles that you would say that sales people are losing when we're kind of leveraging too much tech?
Yeah. That's a big question, man. I think one of the things that we're losing is the respect to the prospect,
Hmm.
because what used to be the work that you would do, is this a good email, should I send it, it's more like send it, see what the metrics say, buy 20 domains, get 100 emails, last 10,000 people, see what we say, and then we try something new. And we are in a so we are in an environment or industry or market, whatever you want to call it. So we are in a sphere where the actions of others impact us. And what I want to say with that is, if there are 100 players in here, and if 10 of them are just blasting out volume, it decreases the results and ROI of the remaining 90.
Mm.
These numbers I just pulled out of air. These are probably not
Yeah.
the right distribution, but the noise in the industry that is right now out there is impacting also the players that are doing things well, because the channels are just saturated. So I think the underlying thing is that um, it's so easy to do outbound now that people don't respect it anymore. So I think that that's the main principle, and people react to you almost defensively. Yeah, so everybody's defensive now. The sort of the mood is changing in the industry, and I think that's one of the things that we're losing. B2B used to be a fun place to work in, and I think that's changing because there's just so much noise in the industry.
Mm.
And if you ask me what's the solution to that, I actually don't have any solution to that. We're just trying to see what is the right way. And AI, a lot of people blame this on AI. It's not the AI actually. It's the tech stacks that allow you to rapidly set up tens of domains and 20s of domains, emails per domain, that get you from one email, which is your main primary mailbox, to 100 mailboxes, and then you can get data as cheap as 1 cent a contact.
Mm.
Obviously you just got to use that because there is no skill required there. It's all tech. So essentially there's this move happening where the core skills of a salesperson, they're being shifted towards developing these technical skills. And where you used to think about your prospect, and you would try to come up with the right things to say, or do your best to earn their time, is now I'll just go and blast 100,000 people a month. And there are some people that are bound to reply, and they do, because there are some people that need a product, right? So yeah, I don't know how well I answered that question, but
I think I was just. I think it's really interesting what you said there right at the end, that salespeople are moving towards the technical side, and I
yeah,
think it's if the principle of selling or a transaction is a person to person. I think the technical side is going to look after itself. In if you fast forward 3 to 5 years, you're going to be able to ask, putting my top 5 customers from last year,
yeah,
go into a lookalike tech stack, and then say you've got. So you'll know who to prospect. You'll know because the indicators was they raised money, they
yeah,
just hired a CTO, whatever. You can, but that's still just technology, right? You
yeah,
then got to get their attention. How do you get someone's attention if they care? Unless the persona, unless the prospect starts having buying agents on their behalf, so a marketing
yeah,
manager, 3% of their time they put meetings in their diaries,
yeah,
and they're talking to each other. Okay, this is of interest to you. It's still going to be for the next decade.
yeah.
What isn't going to change is people buy from people. So
Sure.
you have to. So that's where
Yes.
brand is important. So having uh, an opinion
Yeah. Absolutely.
is important.
Yeah.
But also, I think the unscalable things like so. One of your posts that which is quite interesting. You were doing your own research about. So you're doing your own email research
Yeah.
with SDRs. So
Yes.
emailing them, and you wanted to get their feedback. One of the guys called you back.
Yeah. To
Now, for
sell to
me,
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
to sell you.
Yeah.
Now, I love that. The
Yes.
hustle of that is cool, but
Yeah.
also because he knows that he probably thought that might be in a blanket email, but your number was on there, right? So
Yeah.
he dialed you. That stands out.
Yes.
Than him sending out another 25 emails that day or
Sure.
200 emails that day.
Sure.
I don't know what your relationship is with him post, because obviously he pitched you, you pitched him, but the thing is, it's not. Hopefully, I would have thought that his name now rings in your bell. So let's fast forward 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
If he came about, like he would understand who you are, you would understand who he is,
Sure.
and you would have a level of trust against that. So I think that I don't know how you fully combat it, but I think that the unscalable matters.
Sure.
So the the voice note,
Yes. The videos.
the phone call,
Yeah.
the video when you're just walking down the hey,
Yes.
thanks for the message. Can't get back to you right now, but
Yeah. Exactly.
my AI agent will get back to you soon. But I think there is what did I think it's the unscalable personal pieces is
Yes.
what will differentiate you.
Yeah. I agree with you. And in the world right now, where more and more things are being done by AI, what's going to make you stand out is your human side, right? So that's what the AI does not have. And I think in the end, we want to interact with humans.
Hmm.
So I saw this LinkedIn post by Neil Patel, and they did this research where he said, okay, we took the same content, and to some people we showed it as written by AI, to some they showed by aided by AI, but written by humans, and the others it was like left it as if it's human written,
Yeah.
and it's the same content. People interacted with the written by human,
Hmm.
and also they interacted somewhat with the written by human but aided by AI, but they didn't want to interact that much with so it scored the lowest.
Yeah.
And even though the content is exactly the same, so people are biased towards the quality of the content, and therefore also the engagement and interaction when they have a hunch that it is not a human
Yeah.
written or created and so forth. It works differently when you are asking their help. So in customer support, I see the use, because you need help and you need help fast, and you don't want to wait You don't want to wait 8 minutes and hearing this elevator music and say, okay, you know, somebody will talk to you. And oftentimes what I've experienced is you need to repeat over and over and over. Oh, this is not the right person to talk to. Let
Yeah,
me connect you to someone else, and you have to
yeah,
repeat. Uh, um, Typically it's the case when you have to deal with governmental,
yeah,
representatives. They keep giving you the swing around, and I think they will benefit from having AI helping the customer
yeah.
quickly. Um, in sales, on the other hand, I think the onus of proving that you are worth the time is on you, right? So you need to make sure you come with value to them. Yeah.
And I think it's just the educated buyer will just get more and more. They've done the research. They've read your blogs. They've seen your podcasts. They've got the data. They've done their own research. With the AI, I
Yeah.
think they'll still want to just talk to someone. Is this the right decision?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, unless everything just goes to a basket and then it just gets paid. But I mean,
Well,
I can talk about it for ages.
let's drill down this a little bit further. I think it depends on the product.
One
Slack can
hundred
be
percent,
entirely sold by
100%.
AI.
Yeah,
Slack can be entirely sold by
yeah,
all of these, low cost, very, very, simple. I don't mean this in negative way. Very simple products can be sold by AI
yeah,
100%. But as soon as you're into products that require multiple people to use it, there's some investment in installing it, there's some switching cost. You want some due diligence. You
yeah,
want some sort of human talking to you, and you don't. And the other thing is, a lot of people say, oh, buyers are 70% there with the decision before they talk to salesman. It's not. You cannot.
it's not always the case.
It's not the case. It depends on the product complexity. A lot of them will reach out to you at 10% when they want to learn from you and
Yeah,
understand the product. I'll give you an example. We are looking into ISO certification. I hope after they watch this podcast, I don't just keep on getting emails. AI being used to sort of get the entire text and then
yeah.
summarizing what are the needs. Oh, they need ISO certification. Again, we already have a vendor selected, so if the AI is listening, that deal is done.
We're
Um,
recording this in Q4 of 2024, so you
exactly.
feel free to reach out in 2025.
Indeed, indeed. So my process was, since I have no idea about this market, I went and I took demos from like 8 different vendors.
Yeah,
I says in 1 week, all of them, and so I was almost at 0% decision making. Right? Then there are products that I know a lot about. I'm in those products. So, for example, when we look for a vendor that, for example, is for email prompting, not prompting, pinging, so
yeah,
SMTP pinging, I don't need to talk to anybody. I just know. I just go and select a few, run a trial. I see the quality. I make a decision. So 0% talking. I have made my decision to 100%. So that 70% is not really a static number. You need to know your market. Um, yeah. The other thing is, I don't think AI will become the dominant seller until AI becomes the dominant buyer.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's and until we start attributing, hey, on my behalf. So we already, we had that, 10 years ago with it started, not started, but direct to consumer, where you would have the Amazon press here to buy. So I'm
Yeah.
going to buy my new toilet roll when I'm sitting next to the toilet. I'll click my new toilet roll. But you now have subscriptions, right?
Yeah.
If you have a budget, a family budget for that direct within your Amazon guide.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got £100 to spend this on groceries or
Yeah.
other things. I might upload that and just tell them make those decisions on my behalf.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
You don't do that for digital transformation,
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
Um,
Yeah.
you may Evolve may turn into the next 2 decades might become an AI agent where we can understand the problems from a business. We
Yeah.
then just people then buy into that, so then it runs it itself
Yeah.
with with some consultant oversight.
Yes.
But so you might have a consultant that works with AI to do the data architecture, and then AI does it. But I still think you're going to want the person in there
Yeah.
For a big decision like that. So I can certainly see where there's two kind of
Yeah. I
worldviews,
agree with you.
and the buyer, until the AI is a trusted buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Um, I was on a Zoom call for like a product launch, like a product launch recently,
Yeah.
and the the speaker was like, "Oh, we've got, we're nearly full," and then he realised that the like AI, the note takers,
Exactly.
is all the note takers turning up.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So you can imagine, oh, they're not turning up; they're just sending their note takers to then
Yes.
summarize that.
Yeah.
So that's so I can, and then the agent of that note taker might then say, okay, create a task to
To
speak
reach
to the other.
exactly.
So you can imagine a world like that,
Just
but
AI bots talking to each other.
yeah,
Yeah.
on behalf of some, they are
Yeah.
acting on behalf of someone. Um,
Yeah. I think in some activities this is happening already, like content creation.
yeah.
A lot of what's on LinkedIn, a lot of what's on blogs, it's just AI created. And yeah, I wonder what that's gonna do to the overall market. Um, but currently we live in this, let's say, in this paradigm where search is the key component of finding information, where you type in and then you get it. It's keyword based. What if the information that you needed was just given to you by AI,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then search becomes irrelevant. Then the way we find information, I think at one point my websites might become irrelevant,
Mm.
because let's say everybody has a device or something which is AI hosting, and it's training on who you are. Again, don't want to get into like cyberpunk type of world here. I don't know if you played the video game, but
Yeah.
don't want to get into that kind of world. But I think things will change in a way that way we see things and what we do will no longer be relevant. But it also may not be. We've been talking about flying cars for so long. Why aren't
Yeah.
they? We have the technology to create this very small helicopter like Veloraptors. Why are not there? Well, the reason is we don't want flying objects that can explode on top of our head
Mm.
flying around in the cities where our kids play, right? So it's a safety concern. Um, so it's hard for me to say what is going to be happening with AI,
Mm.
but I think big changes will happen. Yes.
What does AI bring to hubsell in the future? How will you leverage that?
So I'll tell you how we're currently leveraging it, and I'll tell you what we're planning to do with it. So currently, we have a prompt templater. So the way you get AI to do something, you can talk to it, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're locked into that activity with AI. So basically, you're replacing your thinking, doing the painful work, because creativity is painful if you have to force it. And so if you want to write an email, you can get the AI to write it and be the checker, the editor, the confirmer versus the creator. And
Mm.
so currently, a lot of the salespeople, what they do is they're using ChatGPT and they are typing it, and ChatGPT gives it something, and they feedback, and it goes back and forth. But you're locked into that activity. At Hubsell, we have created a prompt templater where you will create a very long prompt, could be 120,000 tokens, 128, I don't know, whatever the number, 128, I think,
Mm-hmm.
thousand, which is a lot of words. Nobody uses that many words in a prompt, but that's the upper limit. And we then have the merge fields in there. And so you need one prompt to prompt a thousand for 1,000 people. And so that very basic technology is then able to send the instructions in a badge to GPT, always the latest model, and then get the output back, and then we format it. So we can create 100% unique emails. This is how AI companies like AISDR or Artisan 11x,
Mm-hmm.
this is how they do it. They do have maybe some sort of RAGs there, which is retrieval augmented generation, which is where they have templates of prompts that they pull from. They have templates of examples where they pull from.
Yep.
So all of that stuff. So that's what we're currently doing with Gen AI, which is we can prompt it with unique prompts that auto form based on placeholders. Like this is sender name. So this is Karan wanting to write to first name who is title in company name. Here is the full. Here is what the first name says on their LinkedIn about
Mm.
section. About section. These are the posts they made. So we can inject all these placeholders that contain the information that is gone to AI, and then we can instruct it on how to use it and what the result should look like. And so you can have 1,000 emails written for you, each of them being unique, which you can then approve and edit before they're sent. So you essentially shift from being the creator of the email to checking, editing, and sending it off.
That's a huge design decision there. So they're not automatically sent out. You are checking.
You can choose. And a
Okay.
lot of our customers, they want to see,
Mm.
because, typically what happens is our users would see the first 100, maybe 200 emails. And let's say I changed maybe two, send.
Yeah.
And then there's some users that are checking it and changing every email a little bit.
Yeah.
Depends on what you do. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, some of our customers have a market that is nigh infinite, right? Meaning they have hundreds of thousands of potential customers. Now they can risk it, you know. But then we have customers that are very niche but very high deal size.
Yeah.
They don't want to lose even one relationship.
Nope.
And so they want to make sure that each email that is sent is exactly what they want to say. Yeah. And so it differs. What's your appetite, right? What's your market like? And so based on that, I think you would make it. And we wanted to give the option to customers.
I love it, and obviously you'll continue down that track as well, and I'm sure that there'll be other elements where.
Yeah. So
Um,
where we're going with it is that one of the things is that we thought, and we are wrong,
yeah.
that salespeople wanted to learn how to become prompt engineers. They don't want that. At least our users don't. And so we need to make the software easy without losing the flexibility. So there will be some sort of like a rags based system where we will have these buttons they can push to create certain type of emails, and they can review it and they say this is good, this sort of stuff. So the user interface, ease of use, we want to go into that direction. The other thing that we want to do is we want to process the data in more in-depth ways with AI. Currently, we are doing the cleaning of the normalizing of the data with AI. We are, extracting information. We're creating new data points with AI. We are summarizing with AI. Yeah, we are spotting things on the website with AI.
Hmm.
But I think we can do more. We can bucketize with the AI. Yeah, we want to say who looks similar, put them in together in one list, right? Um, we want to get the AI to predict some stuff, right? So these are the things that we want to do with AI for the data side. And for the outreach side, we want the AI to decide what is the next step. So we want to do away or provide the option to the customer of not having to create this skeleton, this flow,
Mm.
which says, okay, email, then LinkedIn, then email, then call, that stuff.
Yeah.
We want the AI to decide what the next step is. We don't know
Yeah.
how good that will be, but we want to try that. But I think the a big unlock of value where most of our customers struggle is they don't really know who their target market is. So the ICP, typically when we ask, oh, what's your ICP? Like, hmm, um, well, it's this kind of companies and these people. What are you basing this on?
Mm.
This is what I think. And this is quite common that they are thinking that because somebody told them in the company this. What we want to do is go into their pipe drive, pull all of their closed one, all of their open one, all of the people in these. We want to map them against their LinkedIn,
Yeah.
scrape them, give it to the AI. Who are they? Give me a clear understanding of who they are. Then go and get the rest of those markets, right? So get all of the people that look like their current customers.
Yeah.
That's the let's say the most relevant of your ICP because they're paying you. Nothing proves more than money,
Yeah.
right? So, um, but currently the way you would do that is you would export your data and you would go somehow enrich it, and then you would run pivot tables and you would read frequencies, right? It's no salesperson is doing that
Yeah.
because they are chronically out of
Nor
time.
should they. Yeah. Nor should they be spending their time doing that.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the connection, we mentioned the data, though we mentioned the AI, the future. But how exactly does hubsell connect to Pipedrive? Because obviously hubsell is this um, live database essentially, so of prospecting data.
Yeah.
What's the connection with Pipedrive? What's that?
It's an API-based connection. I'm wondering if you're asking the technical way. It's just an API. We have an app on Pipedrive's ecosystem, and it's a one-click installation, and then you can
Right.
map the fields. You have data points in Hubsell, a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have data points in your Pipedrive, and you can adjust them. You can create custom fields, like I explained earlier to you off the record. Emails are often used as the unique identifier. However, emails change every time you change a job, and so it's not really a good identifier. What's an absolutely unchangeable identifier is the LinkedIn URN, not the URL of your profile. So there are two types of profile URLs that you have on LinkedIn. One is the one with slug, like mine is, /in/KRN/SHRM. So my name without the vowels.
Mm-hmm.
Yours is probably, a Bruce minus.
I think mine's Bruce Bignell. Bruce Bignell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good. And so that changes because your default one was probably Bruce minus Bignell minus 8 9 letter code.
Mm.
But you changed it. It's called the vanity URL. So you changed it. Now, if somebody has your old link, they won't be redirected to you because LinkedIn only saves one LinkedIn profile URL per person,
Hmm.
per member. However, there is a long code that LinkedIn uses in Sales Navigator. Every Sales Navigator profile has a unique URL for each contact that cannot be changed by the contact or anybody. Now, if you take that code and you place your slug with that code, that's what you call the URN. This is what LinkedIn uses internally for the API.
Mm.
So when you click on that, it will redirect you to the current profile. It will never go outdated. Yeah. So LinkedIn's infrastructure is built on that. We save that information. So when we ping somebody, even if they've changed their LinkedIn slug 5 times, we will still get to their latest one. And we can tell the customer, hey, the slug changed. Update your information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what the point was. I went to
No,
this long time.
so I was asking about how
Oh
Hubsell and
yeah.
Pipedrive connect. So
We
it
sync that
it
information.
connects natively, and it can kind of go both ways. You can have your custom data push into Pipedrive. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we don't have interface inside of Pipedrive.
Pipedrive. No.
It's sort of a set and forget thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of our customers that are using Hubsell just for their data, they would uh, like, for example, create a sales navigator search or click on a button. They'll get that data into Hubsell. Hubsell will then go and enrich it, get the email addresses, all the information that they need. And this data is set already. They have set up their mappings that this data populates with a certain source, and they can filter it and say, okay, what are the new contacts? So they can, if they don't want to use Hubsell for outreach, they can just
Yeah.
get the data populated inside Pipedrive.
Yeah. I love it as a use case. It's just having a data source that you can trust, and you kind of lean on the Hubsell element there. So can you tell me a little bit more about that story of how Hubsell came about, and where did the name come from? When did you first meet? Like, when did you two first meet? Or did you ever meet before you set up the company?
We met on when we were signing the notaries.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, but we already had the revenue before that. So he invoiced the first few customers
Yes.
before the company was, because he's an engineer, and
Yeah.
engineers are business entities themselves
Mm.
because they are an artisan. I am just a stupid salesperson, right? I don't have any sort of freelance or legal entity of my own. And so Fabrizio invoiced the first few customers himself. And then once we saw, okay, this idea has some weight, That's when we founded the company, and that's when he traveled to Berlin.
Hmm.
Oh, actually, I'm lying. No, he was once here before. Yeah, we did meet. Yeah, you're right. So the second time he came here was at the signing, but we did meet when we started having some revenue. He did fly here and spend a few days in Berlin. Yeah.
And what was the hub sell?
The
Where's
name was something, and the first logo we just designed it ourselves. The funnel,
yeah,
and it was literally in slides, Google
yeah, I
Slides.
bet.
I took trapezoids, yeah, and I just said, okay, one big, small, and smaller. It looked very ugly, and it was hub logo sell,
Yeah.
and it was from upsell,
Huh.
but upsell was not there. We couldn't take it. It was already taken. I was like, why was it hub sell?
Yeah.
So that it's not a good name. It's not the very. I admit it. And like it's B2B. There are the shittier names out there. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's the product that matters. It is memorable, but we do get confused with HubSpot sometimes. We
Yeah.
do have an understanding with HubSpot where we can coexist. They know about us. We are also connected with their
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. As a database platform, I noticed when we went through
yeah,
um, the demo. Obviously, there are
yeah,
other pipe drivers. There are other CRMs available. Pipedrive
yeah.
is one, but obviously you
Mhm.
connect it to a number of other
Yeah.
CRMs.
So we connect to all. We have accounts with all of them.
Yeah.
And so we connect with all of this to check if there are updates. We update the software then, and yeah. So with HubSpot, we don't have any sort of legal problems or anything. They just say we know you exist, coexistence is fine, all good. Yeah.
Nice.
But if we were to list ourselves on their platform, we do need to add a sort of a disclaimer that we are in no way associated,
Huh.
because
Okay.
to the common user, Hub, they might think it's a HubSpot
Like an
brand,
add-on on. Yeah.
and we would get a lot more social proof due to that,
Yeah.
which again, it's fair. It's a fair request by them.
Yeah. No, understood.
Yeah, the
So
story.
thank you. This has been awesome. I'm sure we could keep talking about certainly
Yeah,
sales and AI, but as we look towards getting to the end here, I've got a couple of quick fire questions,
okay.
but you can take as long as you need to answer them. So,
Sure.
what is in the HubSell tech stack and why?
You mean what technologies we use to
Yeah,
build it?
internally. So to run your businesses, what
Our
are you
sales
using?
stack, you mean sales stack?
Yes, your sales tech stack.
It's HubSell. It's Sales Navigator. It's Pipedrive and HubSpot, and let me think. Scribe, Scribe
Yeah, love it.
uh, TLDV. Too long didn't view. That's my call recording thing.
Oh, cool.
Let me think here. What else? I think a few other smaller tools that I'm not thinking. But yeah, this is a tech stack, and yeah, I don't know if that answers a
No,
question.
it's cool. We just like to capture what people are using. Yeah, we love Scribe. It's awesome as
Yeah,
a document
I'm
creation tool.
considering Arcade
Hmm,
and Super Demo
okay.
and Story Lane. I'm
Hmm.
considering these three to create.
And what's the reason for change? Why are you even considering looking elsewhere?
Um, so it's not to replace ScribeHow really.
Okay.
It's to add a possibility to show demo of the product,
Hmm.
like these interactive demos. So
Yeah.
ScribeHow is more for these guides with the images.
Yeah.
But what is missing is a knowledge center. I think they need to add a knowledge center, because you need to have another product for knowledge center. Then you have these scribe house that you can add there. It cannot be embedded, by the way. So
Yeah.
there are some, I think, some play they need to have with other tools, or they need to create their own knowledge center actually.
Hmm.
But Arcade, Super Demo, or Storylane, they would be more for providing. They could be actually used for customer onboardings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
could be, yeah,
Well,
but it's more for sales.
it's a really interesting use case what you said there about customer onboardings and like
Yeah,
the intranet piece.
yeah,
Um, we are. Do you know Superd?
superb, no?
It's I'll send it to you afterwards. They are doing amazing things. They're HubSpot inbound at the moment,
Yeah,
but we are Evolve is soon to launch the Evolve Pipedrive Sidekick, which is
Yeah.
basically leveraging their platform to put Evolve knowledge in Pipedrive's app.
Oh
And
wow.
exactly what you said there about the onboarding, about the
Yes.
intranet in-app is really cool. It's very,
Yeah.
very cool.
Absolutely.
Okay, and your favorite use case that you've heard from a client using hubsell?
I think the most valuable one that I've been told is the data, because
Mm,
when they see that one third of their data was trash, that's like, well, you know, totally worth the money. And some are also happy about the way Hubset is automating actions. I mean, they are happy in general, but some have told me this.
yep.
I said it in a way that the rest are just unhappy. No, no, they're all happy.
It's
Yeah,
you hear.
except the ones that have left, and fair enough. There are other
Yeah.
tools in the market. Use them. But the outreach optimization, that is something that they like. But I mostly hear the noise about data quality.
Mm,
And when you hear that, yeah, it's like good.
yeah.
This is what we wanted to. This is our core competence.
Yeah.
Outreach automation is not our core competence. We are developing that further, but there's so many tools out there that I think it happened in the last 4 years. We went from a few tools to 1,000 tools.
Yeah. I really like what we said right at the beginning, what you said right at the beginning, living data and data that heals itself.
Yeah,
That is it's not about having the 100,000 database. It's about having the 750 people that
yeah,
are ideal for your client,
that's it.
for your ICP, for your offer, for that quarter, whatever it might be.
Indeed. Yeah.
Um, what would be some top tips for people getting started using Hubsell and for seasoned pros to get more from it?
Uh, so starting tips. So with data, I mean, we provide this free version of Hubsell that allows you to source data from Sales Navigator, and it can sort of rapidly get the some information, not all of the information, but like the name, the company, the profile, the company page, this sort of information. So you can build your database for free. So
Hmm.
that's a good thing that you can do with Hubsell. And with the you can also try the prompt system, which will sort of, even if you don't want to have each email written by AI, it will give you very quickly several different templates that you can copy and say, oh yeah, this is nice. And
Hmm.
you will have 10 email templates that the AI wrote for you that you can show to your colleagues and get some feedback.
Hmm.
So it has created this, it has shortened the cadence of work that you need to do to have an email, even static email or templated email outreach that you need to send out. Now, for the advanced players, what I would recommend is you use the tools like, select your contacts and get the AI to create more data. So we have a feature which allows you to select contacts and then prompt the AI to generate more data in custom 1 through X, right? And so this would be something like, look at the website and find out if they're selling what they're selling, and tell me
Hmm.
that in like 5 words or less. And so that could be custom 1, right? And so eh, sort of what Clay does, for example,
Hmm.
but it's a different interface. And so you can build out your personalization in steps. You can first bucketize them, and there's a good way to bucketize them, and then you can use Hubsell to very much in a focused way, create highly targeted content. So if you have, you know, a lot of the times people think that personalization is name dropping things. Yeah, so it's like this. I saw your post. You talked about this. You talked about that. You're working with this customer. That's name dropping personalization. But better is inferred personalization, where you are taking the information and writing the email in a way that it's personalized to them without naming anything. It's
Hmm.
inferred personalization, and the best way to do that is to bucketize your targets, because if you bucketize them, the message that you say, even in a template, is going to be better than the personalization that you do across all buckets. Yeah. But
Yeah.
combine the bucketize approach with further personalization. Now that's where you hit really, really well the nail on the head, right? So this would be the advanced steps. And for example, some of the users that come to my mind, um, what they do is they combine these automated steps with manual steps. They create
Yes.
tasks in hubsell, and so they send a LinkedIn connection request, which is automated. Upon accepting, they don't say anything, but they have a task where they are supposed to send a video with a recording, and then after the video, they mark the task done. The step can be next, and then there are a few messages going out.
Yeah.
The calls that these guys have
Yeah.
is mental. It's double digit, definitely, right?
Yeah. I love it. It's that blend of the grunt work from the AI
Yeah.
mixed with the in person,
Yeah.
what can't scale
So one
necessarily.
user, I have to talk about this. One user, what he does is he gets the AI to get information about the company and articles and so forth, and he talks about that, you know. And so even the grunt work of what to say can be done by AI,
Hmm.
but the actual delivery of the video can be done by the person, right? Anyway,
Yeah. It's yeah, I love it. Any pipe drive feature requests?
um, from us to Pipedrive,
Yeah.
uh, I think they should add a CMS, to be frank, because a lot of these major CRMs they just provide that, and I think this is the time for consolidation of things. The time where you're using a one tool for a little thing and another tool for a little thing, I think that's going away, and you see these companies merging with each other. I think maybe Pipedrive should do that. But yeah, other than that, it's a great product. I like Pipedrive. I recommend Pipedrive.
Very good. And talk about recommendations. Any reading or podcast recommendations that you would that you think we should check
Yeah,
out?
you should definitely check out Evolve Pipedrive
Hey.
podcast. um, let's see. Um, reading wise, you mean about sales? Yeah.
Anything. We've had some people mention novels, but yeah, anything that's kind of um,
This this is
in your
what you got.
conscious. What do we have there?
This is David Ogilvy from the Ogilvy, marketing
Oh, okay.
and
Yes. Yeah,
consulting.
David Ogilvy. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy. I mean, I have this one thing, and I just started reading it at the age of 40. I first time read this, right? So the the all of my marketing knowledge before that was trash, and he's talking about headlines. He goes into so much in depth. I think if you are a salesperson, you should read this because it helps you deliver your message really well.
Yeah.
And then yeah, there are tons of sales books, man. I think you can see some in the back here. And so yeah, there are plenty. Um,
I love it. So people always look for the new, but sometimes looking
yeah,
back, the
yeah,
principles don't change. The headlines don't change. You still need to.
absolutely. This book is from I think the 50s or something. I don't know when he wrote it. Okay, 78 something maybe.
Yeah.
But it's old. It's
Yeah.
before the internet. This book. Yeah. So I would recommend that, and I recommend that people watch Glengarry Glen Ross.
Mm,
It's a great movie.
yeah.
It's about sales, and the, ABC comes from there. Always
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
closing.
Always be closing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a fun way. I think salespeople should watch it and see. Okay, sales is more than just the tech. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually it's a lot of it is it's also the temperament and the coping with rejection. A book about coping with rejection is Anti-Fragile. I think Nicholas
Yes.
Taleb. It's a good book, and
Yes.
yeah, so that 40 Rules of Power. It's a general. It's a book that you should read
Robert
anyway.
Greene.
Robert Greene. The stories are amazing. I really like the character of Talleyrand.
Mm,
He's a recurring mention in the book. So very interesting. Bhagavad Gita is a great book. It's a religious book, but it's a lot of and I found that Sam Altman keeps on quoting Bhagavad Gita. This quote that he did about you're entitled to your labor, not to your result. It's actually from Bhagavad Gita. He posted it, and I saw a lot of the Indians were, dude, this is this shloka from Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a philosophical book that it tells you to detach yourself from things. So it works in sales. Yeah. So in sales, focus on the process, detach from the outcome.
Yeah.
It might as well be from Bhagavad Gita, I suppose.
Yeah. Love
Yeah.
it. Is there anything else in particular you'd like to cover before we sign off?
I think we've covered a lot. I'm sort of drawing a blank at this point. So I'll say, let's call it what it is, the end.
That's cool. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone listening to Evolve Pipedrive Podcast, where we talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and Pipedrive Marketplace, where we talk to co-founders about AI and what's new and up and coming in the space. At Evolve, we're a technology consultancy based in the UK, working globally, specializing in helping scaling businesses do more with Pipedrive and their wider tech stack through implementation, consultancy, training, and aftercare. If you found this insightful, please let us know what you think. Like us in the comments, put your questions in the comments, subscribe, share with your friends. We really do appreciate it and answer every question that we receive. For now, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you for the opportunity.